Hello, everybody out there in YouTube. We are the middle-aged guys, and we bullshit about nothing. I am the Reverend.
The theme here.
Gray Mouse 1.
We're going to talk about Godzilla, Shin Godzilla, or Godzilla Resurgence. As you may have known, if you've seen any of our previous videos, if it's not obvious, I'm a geek when it comes to Godzilla. Okay, and Toho, they had released out earlier in Japan their 29th Godzilla or Gojira movie or film that they put out. What was it, July?
Yep. No,
Yeah.
August.
Yeah, in August.
No, you're right.
July
29th.
Yeah, July earlier this year. And if you're a stateside Gojira fan of like myself, it was kind of it was a bit of a waiting game where it was like, well, is this shit going to come here? Well, Funimation, they stepped up to the plate, and they're like, yes, indeed, we are going to release it out on DVD and Blu-ray later on in 2016 for everybody. But what they did afford a lot of fans was there's a limited showing of Shin Gojira or Gojira Resurgence in many theaters out here in the States. You know, a limited showing, very limited, as in only one show a night for the last week. And I think they're going to end up on they're going to stop showing, 18th, the Tuesday. So we had a chance to go out and watch it this morning. And I got to say, it's about what I expect. What are your initial thoughts, guys, on the movie?
Same thing. Pretty much what we expected. It wasn't going to be like, to try to be like Hollywood and extravagant, like so many people thought. This is a Japanese Godzilla movie. So if any of you have seen the Toho versions of Godzilla before, you will understand what you're getting into.
Absolutely.
You'll understand how the movie actually progresses from that point. So yeah, it was basically what we expect.
For me, I was lucky enough, this is the second time seeing it.
Yeah.
I actually saw it in full script Japanese, and today I actually got to see it, the American, or the subtitled version.
Yeah.
And I went in, initially I went into the movie with, it's a Godzilla movie, and I already know how, it has a little bit of political basis behind it, and just, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's the thing about the Japanese Gojira movies is that, especially if you know the history of the monster, going all the way back to 1954, the monster itself, Gojira is an analog and was used as an analog as a protest against the atomic bomb.
Yep.
Now, keeping in mind the sensibilities, the Japanese sensibilities when it comes to storytelling, especially when it comes to their monster movies and how they've used Gojira before. When it came out that they were going to go ahead and do this particular movie, especially considering the earthquake and the nuclear disasters that they had over the last few years, I was willing to bet dollars to donuts that they were going to, in some way or shape or form, address that or make commentary on it. And yeah, there was I got to say, if you're looking for a mindless monster movie, it's not that, okay? And that comes with its own caveat, and that's a double-edged sword, all right? Because the thing is that mindless monster movies are fun, okay? With this particular one, there's a lot of political drama, a lot of red tape. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty much their commentary on. If you sit there and move the time back to when the big earthquake hit, and where was the nuclear reactors that had the issues?
Gosh, I wish you wouldn't have asked me that.
Yeah.
I know
that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
No. It was March 2011.
Yeah.
But I don't remember the location. I cannot. It's Fukushima.
Yeah. Fukushima was one of them, right?
That was actually the reactor that.
Yeah. Fukushima was one of them. There was two of them, and what happened was that the biggest complaint of a lot of people who were there at Ground Zero at Japan, especially with a lot of Japanese people, was that the prime ministers and the government, everybody, they were just way too concerned about having meetings and discussing things when they should have been in there helping people not only recover from the earthquake and the tsunami, but also, you know, try to clear things up.
Well, a lot of times too was that they didn't act fast enough, and the fact that the Japanese government was lying to the public, saying, "Oh no, there's not that much radiation in the water." And yeah, there's a lot of red tape on the news that was over there at the time, because I was in Japan at that time. Yeah. So yeah, that was one of the absolutely they added that into the movie. I mean, that was yeah. And the thing is, though, what really was interesting was that it's just how unfunctional. That's the wrong word. How dysfunctional the J-Tai is the Japanese Navy, or the Japanese Army, I'm sorry. Yeah. Was against these natural disasters. And that's what the basis of that movie was. Yeah.
You know, basically, because, well, you know, here's the thing about Gojira, and I'm going to try not to be too big of a geek here, all right? What Toho does with Gojira, ever since he started gaining popularity as a pop culture icon,
absolutely,
you know, in the beginning, using everything else, was that they would put out this huge batch of movies, and they'd have this long run, and then they'd go, okay, well, we're just gonna go, we'll take Goji, we'll put him away.
That's one set.
Yeah, and then we'll put him away for like around a decade. Then we'll come out with another set of movies. We'll have that run for almost a decade. And then we'll put him away again. And they basically have rebooted his storyline. Actually, more than four times. Yeah. But they've got pretty much three identifiable eras. There's the Showa area, the Heisei area, era, and also the Millennial era. All right. This particular one is going to be a brand new one. Yep. If they continue with the same thing. What they usually do, though, before they actually go out of the way to decide to make another movie, is that they'll start doing like media feelers. They'll insert him into other things like TV shows or comic books or movies, and they'll see how people react. Well, along came Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures, and they pretty much did the media work for Toho.
Yes, they did.
They released the Godzilla 2014 picture, and with all of its shortcomings, the thing was is that it was a hit worldwide. So it really proved to them, hey, look, if the Americans could go ahead and do a Godzilla and get this much money off of it, we should be able to go ahead and successfully market one too.
Like I was saying, in July 29th, when it first came out, and even before it came out, it was on everything. It was on talk shows. It was on variety shows. Variety shows are basically just where famous people do stupid stuff. Yeah, you know, it was like variety shows, talk shows. It was in cartoons, and the build up, and then when the movie was released, it was everywhere, and they even went on the news. The news even did a story about it on how much it blew up because it was a.
Are you sure it was a story? Was it a story, or did Godzilla really show up and just?
No, it was an absolute hit in Japan. Yeah, it was like number one in the box office for Japan for
weeks,
months. I mean, they're still talking about it. So it was built up. I mean, Toho, I think it was the 30th, not the 29th.
No, 29th Toho movie.
Okay, yeah, but they hit it. They hit the nail on the head. The timing was impeccable. They hit it perfectly, and they're like, yes, the world is ready for a Japanese Godzilla movie, and that's what came out of it.
All right, before we go into too much deeper geeky stuff, a lot of other trivia that I could probably wax poetic on. Let's talk about what we liked about the movie. Theme, you go first. What did you like about the movie first?
First of all, that was a Godzilla movie.
Yes. Yes.
Listen, I'm sorry, people. I'm still washing the 1998 garbage out of my mouth from the American Godzilla that they came out with then.
Yeah.
I'm still comparing everything as far as saying, okay, did it get this? Did it get this correctly? Was it a fucking big, huge as atomic breath shooting monster? Not a huge iguana, okay? We wanted a fucking monster.
He said iguana.
No.
No, I know.
Seriously.
I know.
Fucking deformed the
But he came, he destroyed shit. I mean, yes, they had to have the whole political thing going on. How else was you going to get a story? You use either that or some type of love story or some type of rescue going on. It had to have been something like that.
Yeah.
But it was everything that we expected it to be as far as a Godzilla movie. So, I mean, I can't take anything away from it as far as that. Yes, it was low budget. It was.
We'll touch on that in a little
talking
bit.
about likes.
Yeah, we're talking about likes right now.
Yeah, okay. But for what it was, I like the way, Godzilla kind of handled everything. He handled it like the monster that he was. Okay, as far as story, like I say, I give it a pass because of how they had to do it. But yeah, that's generally what I liked about the movie.
Yeah. What about you?
For me, I like. Wow, I like that this Godzilla was freaking colossal.
Yeah,
it's the biggest fucking Godzilla to date, and the fact that he destroyed shit. I mean, it was a Godzilla movie, and I also like some of the cheesiness in the what do you call it? In the like you said, jarring that one part.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The Japanese actress that they had, who was supposed to be half Japanese, half American.
Yeah.
What was it? Kayoko Russell.
Kayoko, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And she had like this really. They made her talk Japanese like she was a foreigner who learned Japanese as
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's what I liked about it. How it's cheesy. It's a Godzilla movie, and I did like his atomic breath. I mean, yes, I was like, when he opened his mouth and he just let loose after he got hurt. And then what was it? I really liked the way. I mean, I didn't really think that the political parts of the movie, because a lot of people were saying that there's a lot of dry stuff. But as I was watching it, maybe because I watched it, this is the second time I watched it, but I was like, it didn't feel like it was dry to me. It felt like, there was, I knew, but maybe I expected that, and that's why it didn't feel so dry to me. So I kind of like the political parts and how they decide, get all the J tie together and all the Air Force and everybody, and try to take this sucker down on their own. Yeah.
I mean, as far as the movie goes, there's, if you've seen our previous video on the trailer, all right, I'm obviously probably the biggest geek out of these three when it comes to Gojira, and when it comes to an actual Godzilla movie, all right, there are my checklists, my requirements are very, very small. Okay, all right, he's got to be a big
motherfucker,
big lizard. All right, got to have the spines on his back. Okay, well, he's got to be a big lizard with the spines on his back. Okay, he's got to have the atomic breath, and he's got to wreck fucking Tokyo. Okay, all right, and not just in a way where it's like, oh, hey, we've got an overgrown lizard jumping from building to building. No, he's got to wreck fucking Tokyo.
It wasn't Tokyo; it was Yokohama. He didn't get to Tokyo.
Oh, well, yeah. Every time he was heading that direction.
But he still destroyed that Yokohama, though, man.
But, yeah, so on all those points and everything, I definitely liked the movie. It hit those points. The one thing that really stuck out to me, especially as somebody who's seen all of the past Godzilla movies, is that if you looked at the cast, there were so many returning cast members from other movies.
You noticed that?
Yes. In fact, even the general that they had.
He was the admiral in the 2014.
Yeah,
and then he was a general in this one.
Yeah, because he sits there and he shows up and his back is to the camera. I'm like, that voice is really familiar.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's the Admiral from the Godzilla 2014 movie. But a lot of those classic actors and everything, they reprise different roles and all of that, and they'd come back. It's almost like, you know how with here in the States on TV they have the Law and Order like stock of cast they always get from actors in New York, right? And they show up everywhere. Well, over there in Japan, they've got the Godzilla stock of actors that they get for all the movies, and they put up all over the place. And as far as it goes, what happened within the movie and everything else, I wasn't so off put by the political drama, but I do understand with every Godzilla movie, you have to have that human factor.
Yep.
They can't get away from it. Okay. That being said, I can see how that can put people off because there was a lot of it, and that kind of brings us to what we didn't like. Okay. Before I expound on that theme, what did you not like about the movie?
There wasn't enough of the fucking monster.
Yeah.
That's become a pet peeve of Godzilla movies lately.
Yeah.
Like, we want to see more of Godzilla on the fucking screen.
But the thing with that, though, the 54 Godzilla, you didn't see much of him in the 54
That's because
as well.
that was an introduction, and they had to create some type of suspense and with people and
that's what
interaction and so on.
Well, that's what this
Godzilla is
supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right. But I do understand that's what this movie was getting to.
Correct.
It was a rehash of the 1954 movie. So okay, fine, but I still have to have it as one of my dislikes.
Yeah. I'm not taking that away from you.
Yeah, that. As far as anything else, like I said, I'm not going to complain about the low budget, but that was comedy to a point.
Yeah.
It was comedy to a point because it's like, whoa, wait, what? Especially the way Godzilla was at the beginning, like basically crawling around, destroying everything, and it had to evolve into Godzilla itself.
Yep.
But as it was crawling around, destroying shit and stuff like that, and bleeding all over the fucking place, the way that monster looked, it was like, God damn, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, that was a throwback to like the 60s version of Godzilla with
the motherfuckers in Godzilla suits acting it out. I understand, but it was still something that I didn't like about it.
Yeah, it was out of place.
But there were no disconnections. Me being disconnected from a movie actually takes me out of the fucking movie. Nothing took me out as far as saying, damn, why am I still watching this?
Well, something did take us out of the movie, but that wasn't the movie's fucking problem. We'll get to that later. All right. And what about anything else that stuck out? Nothing else that stuck out is anything that you were like, eh.
As far as saying that, no, that's not right, or not, or like, what the fuck ish, or anything like that.
Yeah.
There were a couple of parts there, but I mean, not so much where, I don't know how to put it, because again, when you go to see Godzilla, what do you want to see? You want to see the fucking monster. Everything else is secondary, and if it's even secondary.
Yep.
As long as the monster is there, and as long as he's acting like the fucking monster that he's supposed to be, then everything else can get just shoved away.
Yeah.
Or pushed to the side. And that's the way I felt about that.
Yeah, I'd agree. What about you?
Oh, I can't wait till you ask me, man.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so I got to see two versions of it, apparently.
Yeah.
The one that I saw in Japan was more full. The one that I saw tonight, I was disappointed. They cut out like 5 to 6, I would say 5 to 10 minutes of the movie. Specifically where the U.S. Comes in and drops the bombs on Godzilla's back. In the Japanese version, they actually showed Yokosuka base where the B-52s took off, and it showed, a couple more communication between the pilots and the ground and whatnot. That they completely showed that. They completely took that out. And then it's kind of confusing, but the way they did it was because after I pointed that out to him, it's like, well, that it still fits the way they cut it. It still fits because one of the B-2 bombers is circling back around, and they're saying this is for revenge.
Yeah.
And you're like, revenge for what? And then on the original, after they dropped the B-50 the bombs onto Godzilla's back and pierced their skin at first, and then he drops more bombs on it. What happened was Godzilla actually freaking took out the B-52, the whole squadron of the B-52s, and then the second squadron was coming in to drop more bombs on it, and they said this is for revenge. I mean, it's inconsequential, but the fact that they change, I don't know if they're doing it with time constraints, or it kind of makes you think that why aren't they showing the same version that they showed in Japan? That was the only one. So I was that was the first thing out of my mouth was like, what the, I knew it as soon as I was like, what the fuck did they do? And that took me that did take me out of the movie. First, I was like, wait, what? We're missing something. I think another thing too that took me out, or I didn't say completely disconnect, was like you said at the beginning, where he was like a duck, I guess, or you know, working on the land. I mean, I understand that it had to evolve.
Yeah.
And then I think the major hurt that I have was the anticlimactic ending. I mean, it was just a pan up of Godzilla's tail, and you saw those disfigured what do you call it?
Like buds or something.
Whatever on his tail, you know? And that, I was like, okay, I want more, you know?
Yeah. Let's all discuss the ending, because I think that's something that kind of sticks out even to me. But I think my biggest gripe with the picture as a whole was that the picture, I know, is a soft reboot of the whole saga. Okay,
correct,
they're trying to go ahead and set this up so that they have something new that they can market going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but the thing about it is that it was just so obvious at times that Toho didn't want to go ahead and go whole hog on the budget, so that they could sit there and clean up the CGI as best they could, or to set things up as best they could, or have as much exposure to the monster as much as they could.
I have to agree.
Yeah, because a lot of it just...
Well, they didn't know they had a hit.
Well, I think what happened, there were some points where, okay, you saw Gojira out there in the, you know, doing things and stomping around, and it looked phenomenal. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there were times where there would be these effect shots where they would have like close-ups and other things that looked bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really, really stood out as like, okay, that's a fake tank, that's a fake monster.
Well, you know, like when he was first coming on shore,
yeah,
right, and then all that stuff, that bridge,
yeah,
because I was sitting there right there, and you kind of came out and you said, oh, that's bad CGI, just the way the damage was coming up underneath that bridge, and that bridge was snapped apart, you know, and yeah, I agree. I mean, but I understand where they're coming from, because they didn't know that they were going to have a hit. They didn't know if there were people going to be still interested. I mean, 2014 Godzilla just came out.
Yeah.
And then you got a 2016. You know, I understand why they played it safe.
Like you said, that it's something that kind of stood out to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the thing about like the talkie parts is that if you're planning to go see the movie, and hopefully we haven't spoiled a crap load of stuff, if you haven't already seen like the thousands of videos out there on the Japanese release already, okay. Yeah. But it's very, very talky. It is very talky. Japanese films, whenever it comes to like a lot of kaiju films, sometimes they fall into this this route of trying to do this high form storytelling, where they just layer a lot of exposition on top of exposition on top of exposition, and they have all these people, all these talking heads, like throwing details in all at once.
Absolutely.
And that's literally what was happening,
well,
you know, for the majority of this movie.
And see, the thing is, though, you know, that's why I wasn't really disconnected with the talking part.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I was over there for a really long time.
Yeah.
And I kind of, you know, that's the way the Japanese is. They pretty much, in order for like let's just say this, I worked with the Japanese before, right? So when we have a group meeting, we're going to go do something. So they're not going to do anything until we sit down and have a meeting and talk to this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, and we all have inputs, and then we all, okay, we agree on this, then we go talk to the boss. That's the way Japanese economics is, and that's the way the Japanese business is run.
Yeah.
And so naturally, it's a Japanese movie, so they're going to put that in there.
But in the case of what I'm pointing out, and also for what the theme pointed out, if you're looking for the monster primarily, that is the talkie parts were overkill. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's just be honest, the biggest concern and criticism of the 2014 Legendary Pictures of Godzilla was that there wasn't enough of the monster.
Yeah.
The running time of this particular movie is similar in length, and there is even less of the monster on screen in this one. Okay, I am pretty positive.
I don't know, man. Because everybody was saying that there's actually more Godzilla on this one than the 2014.
I don't think so.
Because at the start of the movie, you saw his tail.
Yeah.
And then a little bit further in, it goes right into the Godzilla where he comes out, right? And then there's a talkie thing when he goes back.
Yeah.
Right? And then he comes out as the final form.
Yeah. But then, in the midst of everything, he just sits there and he sits in one place.
That's
not doing anything.
Yeah, okay, but he's still on the screen though.
Yeah,
he did stop. You're absolutely right. He stopped on several occasions.
Yeah.
You're right. And he had to re-energize or whatever.
Well, I will say to a point for the current Godzilla movie, they didn't sit there and say, "Oh, Godzilla's here. Look over here."
Yeah.
Or Godzilla's here. Close the doors.
Well,
one thing they didn't do that.
One thing too is that they did not use. Usually in Godzilla movies, right? Godzilla comes onto the shore, fucks shit up, and leaves and recharges.
Yeah.
In this movie, he was actually out of the Yokohama base water or harbor for a really long time.
Yeah.
And he didn't go back and recharge and then come back again. So maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's when we reference the original movie, how little Godzilla was on screen, a big part of the reason why he wasn't on screen so much is that the most expensive part of making the movie was dealing with the guy in the rubber suit and all the fucking miniatures.
Yeah.
All right. With this particular one, considering that it's now CG Godzilla, not quite the same constraints.
Well, you know what?
But that's also where like I said, it became jarring with those particular parts that were just out of place.
You know what? Like when Godzilla full form, when that family was trying to get out of the building, that's actually a set.
Oh, okay.
It's not CG. That was actually a set where because they showed it on the variety TV on how it was made. So it's actually actors and actresses were in there, and they actually tilted the pretty much like what they did with Lord of the Rings.
No, first perspective.
Correct. And they literally were in the middle of all that when all that stuff was, of course it was foam or whatever, but it had that, they were sliding. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when Godzilla was crushing that building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, a lot of it.
Yeah. I could see some of the practical effects for that, but whenever he was on screen, there was a lot of activity, like certain shots were just very, very obvious. That's all I gotta say.
Absolutely.
All right.
Now, let's talk about his powers. Because, okay, a lot of people, when they mention Godzilla and Godzilla's powers or abilities or what he can do, they will say certain things.
Mm-hmm.
This Godzilla movie, he did certain things that he's never done before.
Yep.
What do you guys think about his spikes shooting out lasers?
I loved it. That's just my opinion. I know I don't like the fact that it was mentioned in the dialogue that Godzilla has an instinctual radar, precision radar.
No, we'll touch on that. We'll put that one aside.
But that includes the. But no, I like the lasers coming out of the spikes. Cool. That was cool. And then when his tail, when he's that he.
What about his tail shooting lasers?
Huh?
his tail
We're shooting.
shooting lasers.
Yeah.
Or atomic.
Yep.
I mean, because when he first came on, right, and then he actually started after the bombing, and it pissed him off. You know, he doesn't roar
stuff, but not shooting lasers.
No, well,
in the building. Tail in the other
I liked it.
Tail in the
really enjoyed that.
Okay. Tail on battleship, whatever.
Yeah.
But not tail shooting lasers.
I like that, man. I really did. It to me, it kind of brought it into the millennial type of Godzilla.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing that kind of that part kind of put me back a second, because I will admit, as far as Godzilla goes, in all of his movies, there's a lot of Deus Ex Machina. It's like, oh, all of a sudden he could do this.
Yeah.
And they've done that all throughout, like, all of his movies, right? But where really kind of puts me off is when they try to explain it.
Right.
And then it just sounds like
It was
pseudoscience, psychobabble.
They tried to make an excuse like, okay, we know to the fans out there that this monster's never had these abilities or never done this before, but we're going to try to explain it in script on why he has that.
Yeah.
That was a little cheesy.
Well,
It was.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the atomic breath.
Well,
that's one of my favorite parts. I mean, it was, at first when he got, injured, and then he opened his mouth and there was like this gas that came out, right?
Yeah.
At the very first.
Yeah, a two-part mouth though.
Yeah, and the gas went out onto the streets, and then it's like afterwards a spark or something, and that's what's caused the fire breath, right?
Yep.
And then because the gas was already it ignited the gas, and then it's like it went from that, and then it went to the screaming high pitched sound and that precision atomic breath, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
The purple lasers.
Yep.
Kind of reminded me of Independence Day.
Well,
nah, man, I wasn't disconnected. No, man, I wasn't.
No, I wasn't disconnected.
I was like,
it just reminded me of Independence Day, the way the flames were coming toward the buildings and stuff like that.
yeah. Well, the thing about that is that if you've ever watched video of like oil refineries go up, all right. Well, the first thing that they'll do is that if they and we had a scare over here at the Wilmington Refineries quite a few years ago, right? If they have a huge buildup of pressure that they have to release, what's up is that they'll start venting it out, and it starts out like, oh, it's a plume of smoke.
Yeah.
Then it's a little bit of flame. When it's really under pressure, it turns into a fucking jet, and it changes color from orange flame
to white
to bright yellow. If it starts turning white or blue, and you start hearing sirens,
it's time to roll out.
Yeah, no, people have to fucking evacuate. And I remember a few years back, this might have been before you came back from the Navy theme, but yeah, there was a scare at the Wilmington refineries where they had those things. It was like out of like they've got like a half a dozen refinery buildings there, like with the big old tanks, and I think 2 out of the 6 had to sit there and set off vents. And it went from a regular flame to a bright orange fucking jet of flame, and then the sirens started going off.
So you're saying you could use that with what happened to Godzilla? It just got too intense.
Yeah,
and it just, I mean, that scene.
That scene was great.
Yeah, I mean, because that laser was chopping the fucking buildings in half.
And when everything finally ignited, and it was like hell on earth, because that was just the greatest fucking parallel to the previous scene where before he landed back on land, they had the Japanese crowd out protesting that they were going to take military action against Godzilla. He's God. He's our savior.
They were trying to worship him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, came down hellfire and brimstone on everything.
I think they had a political thing as well, because if you watched any of the atomic bombing or any of the like when we did nuclear tests in the desert and whatnot, if you look at the scene with all that gas on fire, that was symbolism. It was deep symbolism, and that's what that was. I was thinking, I mean, Wow, I really did like his powers, man. I mean,
the only thing that really kind of knocked me out of it, especially with like the tail beam, is that it almost felt like for a moment we were dealing with two monsters instead of one.
Right.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because he was shooting two different fucking directions at different different targets. You know, that part that was one thing. Now the other thing that knocked me out of it was when they sat there and they explained that, oh, he's got some sort of natural bioorganic field array fucking radar. I was like, the fuck was that? This sounds like such bullshit. I understand.
It's Godzilla, man.
No. I understand. You know, reptiles. All right, can sit there. They can sense. They can sense vibrations, and they can sense like, you know, they can register heat signatures and things like that. All right, but when they had explained it like that, it was just, I was like, you know, and the thing about it, it was like, it was the American expert, the guy speaking in English. So it wasn't like I heard him wrong or I read it wrong.
Yeah.
It was just.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was, yeah.
All right. So let's change gears. Let's talk about the story. You know, it was interesting. Like you said, the foreign, what was her name? Kayoko?
Kayoko Russell.
Kayoko, right? She had ambitions to be president of the United States.
Yeah.
And she came in with actually information on Godzilla and, you know, the chemical makeup of it inside, you know, right?
Yeah.
And because they were trying to figure out how to stop this thing, because, you know, the scenes before that, I mean, they pretty much, the J-TIE was out there, they pretty much did everything except launch nuclear weapons at this thing.
Yeah.
And it kept on coming.
Yeah.
And that was one of the check marks that I put in my list, is like, a missile's not going to fucking kill Godzilla. I'm sorry. You know, if he would have laid over and died right then and there, I would have won. You know what I mean?
If he would have died.
If that would have happened, it's like, okay, why are we still in this theater at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, and then the J-TIE or the Japanese government were like, you know, at first there was that one guy saying, no, don't worry about that. No, shh, keep that quiet, just between you and me. Yeah, but he was actually right.
Yep. Well, for the, like I said, with a lot of the Godzilla movies, a lot of times they try to do this high form type parallels and commentary for stuff like that. And I think one of the things about it was that not only was it really obvious, like they were making commentary about the government and the speed of government response, and the reason why politicians don't do things.
Correct. Yeah.
But there was a continuing theme that was going through it, not just the guy who was sitting in the chair next to me. All right. There was a continuous theme that was going through the movie of, okay, they've got this huge committee of, or this huge group of people are all saying one thing, and that there's always one person who sat there and said, hey, look, you know, maybe we should consider doing something different. Maybe this is not going to fucking work. And then, you know, that person would be disregarded. Okay.
Yep.
But it always took that one person at least to go ahead and start them going that way, which was also reflected at the end of the movie. We're not going to give away the final ending. But you know, the way that it finished up, how the political picture ended up panning out was like, okay, you know, the whole UN was moving toward this one thing until one country sat there and stood up and said, wait a minute here, maybe this is a bad fucking idea.
Well, I mean, you know, like I said, from the perspective that I came from, I've worked with Japanese before, and I know it, and it is a typical, they are not going to do something without getting the permission from everybody. And just like you just said, if somebody disagrees with it, that person is completely, because I've been one of those people. Like, no, let's do it this way. But everybody else agreed on another way. Guess which way was done?
Yeah.
That way. The majority rules. And it's just the way things are.
Nice have it.
And more context, I mean, the storyline, I thought, you know, it was basically, you know, the J-TIE didn't know how to deal with this unsurmountable Colossus disaster.
Yeah.
You know, and
Does this qualify as a natural disaster? I don't know. It's completely unprecedented.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was.
No, it doesn't qualify as a natural disaster.
It's like this isn't a typhoon or an earthquake.
No.
No, this is a living organism.
I wanted to shout in the theater like, this is qualified. No, this is a living organism. Exactly what they said. No, this is something living.
So what do you guys think about let's go into we've talked the story, we talked about the powers, we talked about what we liked and disliked. Let's go into a little bit about the actual, what do you call it? Photography? Is that the correct word?
Oh, the way
the movie was made, how some of the handheld cameras work.
Oh, the filmography? Yeah.
Yeah, and the pan ups with the cameras. You know, it really made, to me, I felt like it really made Godzilla big. Just the camera angles really made Godzilla colossal.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, some of them were the street level, and then the tail was coming across the buildings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think about that?
Kind of reminded me of a video game at certain points.
Yeah.
No, that's not something bad.
Yeah. No. I no. There were quite a few little parts that they had there that were a little gamey.
It was a little shaky, like when they were trying to hurt all.
Oh God! Wait, when the camera was like shaking a lot, I was like, please don't Cloverfield this, please.
Yeah.
I was like, they were hurting. Got out of that really quick, and I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. That
I think was really bad was when they were hurting those people down into the subways. For because they were going to do the nuclear blast.
Yeah, they're going in for evacuation shelters. I think the one thing that they've got right, especially over the last few Godzilla movies from the Millennium series on up, is that with the Millennium series they started doing something that they didn't do with the previous Godzilla movies, and that's showing the destruction of Godzilla going through a town and doing all of his shit from ground level.
Yeah,
as a little like
from ground. Yeah,
you're a human.
It wasn't just an overhead shot. It wasn't just him going anywhere and not destroying anything at all for some.
Well, you weren't. The camera wasn't. I mean, at points it was. The camera wasn't up here looking down. It was like you were street level looking up.
Right.
At Godzilla.
Yeah.
Well, okay. One thing that kind of almost separated me was them using trains and bullet trains as weapons.
You know what's funny was
wait, not the fact that they use them as weapons. The fact that they hit Godzilla and went all the way up to him.
Well, they were.
Wait a second here. You mean to tell me that those trains would go that high and start exploding around?
No, it was how fast they were going when they hit them.
Yeah, no, they were defying physics when that happened.
Yeah, that's what I was like, I don't want to say anything in this theater, but
because the thing is that no matter how fast the train is going, if it crashes into an object like that,
it's gonna be like a Coke can.
It's not gonna fly 50 fucking meters in the air.
I mean, yeah, those trains were up there in his mouth area.
This was the biggest Godzilla ever. Are you telling me that could actually?
Yeah.
No, dude. I was like, wait.
Yeah, the whole train isn't going to launch itself 100 meters in the air.
Another thing too.
Not in natural order either.
Nope.
Another thing too.
Like their nunchucks or whatever.
Yeah, they did look like that, didn't they? Now, I mean, they went up all like. Yeah, you're right.
That's why I was like, wait. Now, if some pieces would have went past him and start blowing it. Okay, fine. But the way that happened, I was like, I want to say something so badly here, but damn it.
What did you think about the how they pinned them down? Do you think
the buildings?
Do you think that was actually pretty smart, or do you think that was like a cop out?
Out of that.
To get him to lay down to do what they got to do.
No, that didn't offend me for the fact
that didn't offend me at all.
Well, it didn't offend me, but it's just like this stuns Godzilla.
Yeah, well, it was
that was the only thing that I thought about. I thought it was smart the way they revised that.
Yeah,
it was like
well, the coordination was smart. They said
they had a long time to set that up.
Yep. I think there were. as far as the buildings falling on him and
now, I think that was convenient to have those buildings still there
yeah,
because all other buildings were down.
Yeah. Well,
wait. All other buildings were lasered down by this monster.
yeah.
Most of them, yeah.
Especially the second
By
time
either his mouth, his tail, or his scales.
Yeah.
So to conveniently have buildings next to him still standing was something else.
Well, what was funny was when they got him, when they threw all those buildings and they launched Aegis missiles and all that from, you know, they did the whole thing, right? And they got him all that stone and whatever piled up on his back, and they started to fill him up with the coagulate. And he's like, he wasn't having that. He's like, fuck you, and he just built up his atomic breath, and he freaking laid waste to those guys, dude. But and then the second time, they pinned him down.
I think to say that all of us will agree that the ending is very
anticlimactic. It really was.
But considering how they left it open too at the end,
I was gonna
it's definitely,
how can you can't close that type of movie. You don't want to, for one, you don't want to kill Godzilla.
You don't want to, exactly.
And it would be really, I think it would be even more anticlimactic if he just turns around and goes back into the bay.
Well, you know what? They couldn't have gotten away with destroying the monster.
Yeah, exactly.
Period. There's no way that they would have gotten away with that if that would have fucking happened.
A 50-story or 100-story frozen.
How about destroying Japan itself?
Yep.
Or cracking the planet. I would look, if you did Thundar the Barbarian, comet goes past and shit gets fucked up, and then Godzilla gets destroyed, fine. But other than that, heaven and earth would have to collide to destroy this monster.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way they were going to do it with missiles or nuclear missiles or anything like that. It would have been fucked up if they would have had the nuclear strike and everything would have happened and Godzilla would have still been standing and then go back to the water and the movie would have ended with the city destroyed. But no, the way they ended it, it was very anticlimactic, but it was ways. That way or him going back into the water.
There's no other way they could have really done it that made sense. They other than him going back into the bay, Yokohama Bay.
Yeah, they could have done something a little bit different. Now
they could have.
Now,
but 6 missiles didn't go into him and he didn't die.
No, I'm not going to say that I have a better idea for what they could have done. But I understand what they were going for, and the way that they had set everything up is that is there a possibility of another monster showing up? Yes. Very much. Okay. Yeah, so this is obviously the origins or the beginning point of another series that they're going to come out. Which, hey, if that happens, I'll be scouring the internet and looking for DVD traders if they don't do another limited release here.
I think they would have to add another monster in this. I think Mothra is going to have to be in there. Or it just
2 or 3 monsters. Well. At least 2 monsters?
At least 2 monsters.
No, I'm pretty sure that if they do a sequel, they're going to introduce another monster.
Mothra or what's that other one?
Rodan.
Oh, man, I would love to see a Rodan.
You think that the Japanese will be slick and actually make a Mecha Godzilla?
It depends on how far out they decide to go ahead and take this. Because because the thing is that
just monsters showing up, it's like, all right, why didn't you have a Godzilla deterrent?
Yeah.
At that point, Godzilla's still there. You know he still exists. They're gonna have to explain how they put him back in the water or whatever. They're not just gonna have him as a fucking Japanese statue.
No.
I mean, like I just said earlier. I mean, for Christ's sake, they got a 500-story freaking monster in the middle of Yokohama, frozen.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. There's gonna be another movie, especially how popular this. I'm telling you, it can destroy the box.
Well, if they do come out with it, and even if it's a limited release, yes, we'll go see it. We just probably won't go to the same fucking theater.
Man.
Yeah. No,
we got.
Yeah, I mean, the only saving grace of that because here's the thing. All right, we at the particular theater that we saw it at, our biggest gripe was not with the movie itself, was for the fact that when they set up the projector for viewing and everything, the subtitles were so low on the projector field that they were cut off.
We're talking about like this right here.
So everything was fucking difficult to read. Now, me and Gray Mouse, we could just, and even the Reverend, we could decipher some of the fucking language.
Yeah.
Of Japanese. So we weren't completely fucking lost.
There were others in the theater that
there
were.
Others in the theater that was, I understood.
Yeah.
That it's like, fuck. I mean, people were getting restless about that.
Yeah, I even got up out of my seat to talk to the fucking managers, and I was like,
I had to take every ounce of patience.
And I was like the sixth person in line, you know.
People complaining about
it?
Wow.
So,
yeah, because a lot of people got up. And
that is bullshit, though, man.
Well,
when you're getting your word, I mean, literally cut
the
off.
words was literally cut.
All you saw was the top. All you saw was the top of the letters.
Yep. I mean, the thing that got me about it was that it wasn't the fact that it was cut off, but you know, it was the fact that okay, we're at the time we're doing this. This is the 7th day that they've had it in viewing. Okay,
it's not the first day.
It's not the first day that they've had it in viewing. They've already been showing this a whole fucking week. So
they knew the dimensions of the screen.
Yeah, they should have known the settings of the projector.
And then the thing too is that it got so bad where they paused the movie, and the employees came in there. Hey guys, we know there's a problem. We got the text up there on the at the projector trying to figure this out. I mean, you know what? I bet you that wasn't an IMAX, right?
No, that wasn't.
So
IMAX.
I wonder if maybe they got it set as an IMAX version of the movie versus.
I don't think that anybody else has had any complaints about.
You know what I mean? Maybe they set it for IMAX.
No, it's just that. Okay, look, big surprise.
I'm not making excuses.
Big surprise here. Okay, the pretty much the projectors are set up to play things like through media player files, pretty much. All right, and guess what? They can sit there. They could adjust where the subtitles show up. So that really was. Thankfully, we were able to work past that, and we were able to watch the whole movie. Final ratings, guys. Theme, go first.
Okay. Even with the minor gripes that I have, it didn't disconnect me. It didn't make me walk out. I didn't scream bullshit. I didn't scream, what the fuck? So my final grade and my final thing would be a C+, just because I wanted to see more. They left it for more later. I understand that, and I understand that this is a rehash of 1954. I understand that. And maybe it's my fault for mentally thinking I'm just going to see monster, 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 but that's just me.
I don't think that's unrealistic, though. You know, putting that aside, I don't think that's unrealistic. What about you?
Well,
you just saw this movie twice.
Yeah.
I will probably give it about a B. I probably would have given it a little bit higher, like, exactly, B plus maybe. I mean, the movie, did it entertain me? Yes. Was it a Godzilla movie?
Yes.
Yes. And even the reason why I give it a B and a B plus is because of the very subtle. There you go. I can't fucking speak. Sorry. Nods to the older movies, and it's there.
Oh, there was a lot of
they're there.
Yeah.
And that I was like, yes, 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 and yes. And then at the end was a awesome nod. If you sat through the credits, you listened to the 2016 Godzilla and the 85, and then they reverted down to the 1954 theme music. And I was like, yes, during the credit rolls.
Yep.
So yeah, I give it a B plus. I mean, would I see it again? Yes. Would I buy the DVD? Yes.
Yeah. I got all the other ones.
What about you?
98 one.
What about you, Reverend?
Well, I would have to say I'm gonna give it a B minus. Okay, again, I'm biased. I love almost all things Godzilla. All right, and I'm taking this into context that I know they're trying to restart the series,
Mm.
and not only are they trying to restart the series, but in the vein of what they did with the original Godzilla movie, where it was like, okay, this is our protest, our commentary on the use of nuclear weapons. They again took the opportunity to go ahead and make commentary, make protest about nuclear waste, nuclear energy, and the type of not just democracy,
Dangers.
but bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy. That like
And the dangers of bureaucracy overflowing the ability just to make decisions and get shit done.
Yeah.
You know, that was like the biggest thing that they pointed out. That being said, it was a bit talky at times.
It was.
A lot of the pseudoscience stuff was straight bullshit. But it wasn't a deformed iguana who died after getting hit by 2 missiles.
Was that 98?
Yes. All right. So yeah, okay. I'm fine with that. You know,
And that's what I said. I mean, I think, I think a B plus. I don't know. Maybe I'm partial because I actually seen it in Japanese. And the thing that I noticed too, to add, is that you could watch the subtitle or you could read the subtitles, but there's things in Japanese that doesn't translate over into English at all.
Yeah.
Or at all. Right.
That actually, since I can understand Japanese, it actually, the translation wasn't. I think
off.
it was off.
Some of it was off.
It was way off on some.
A lot of jokes to Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was off. It was, I was going to tell you, it was off.
Oh, they do a lot of jokes in there.
Yeah.
And I was laughing at some parts that nobody else was laughing at because I understood the
There was
Japanese.
some slapstick there that was pretty entertaining.
So B plus for me,
Yeah.
B minus, and then a C plus for theme.
So I think all in all, middle-aged guys give Godzilla, the brand new 2016 Toho movie that is shown in limited release here in the States through Funimation. Thank you, Funimation, for going out of the way and doing that, by the way. A solid B if we average it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know?
It's definitely a go see movie.
Yeah.
If you're a Godzilla
Especially
fan,
if you're a
you
Godzilla
must
fan.
see this.
Yeah, if you're a Godzilla fan, don't be discouraged by this movie. See it, read the subtitles, and enjoy what they present to you.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
there's
Take it
not.
for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a
the way
political
you have to go
movie.
into it mentally. And maybe, and like I say, maybe I'm partially biased as far as saying I want to see more of the monster, but I don't discredit it because of what they presented toward us. I mean, I'm an understanding.
I understand from you, theme, but to me, I thought Godzilla had enough screen time. Maybe because he wasn't, like you said earlier, he wasn't.
It's funny how the most Godzilla movies he has more screen time when it's dark.
Yeah.
But I think that accentuated it better because of the little, the way he looked at the like the necklace, with the and the the tail and whatnot.
Yeah. If there was more Godzilla on screen,
like doing shit,
my grade would be higher. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really just me being honest, even as biased as I am with all of this stuff. All right.
I'm just waiting for the next one.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yep. And that brings us to the end of this particular video, folks. Thank you, YouTube, for following us all the way up until the end. This is our thoughts on the new Shin Godzilla Resurgence, brand new Toho movie from 2016. It's going to be in theaters still for a few more days, so if you have the chance to go see it,
please
definitely go ahead and see it before it leaves. And then after that, you're just going to have to pick up a Blu-ray. All right. We are the middle-aged guys. We bullshit about nothing. No, we are bullshitting about Godzilla, and our bullshit ends here. I'm the Reverend.
The theme here.
Ray Mouse 1.
Yeah. And he has that roar, too. Just for anybody that wants to question that, yes, Godzilla has that fucking roar, his trademark roar. So it's not like he sounded like a fucking iguana that fucking died by 6 missiles.
Or like they imported the T-Rex sound effects from Jurassic Park. Yeah.
I'm not even going to say anything on that.
Just saying.
This is terrible.
Credits.